Hey everyone, I'm Andy Rafael from eTeknix.com, and today we're looking at the new Apple AirPods. So before these were announced, Apple actually kind of referred to them as just AirPods, but everyone kind of knows them as AirPods 2. Call them the second generation if you like. And just like we typically expect with an Apple product, the box is relatively simple. Now there is one point that I really want to actually sort of mention, and that's the fact that it says that it works with the Air Power Mat. Air Power Mat. Come on, Apple, make it happen. The Air Power Mat isn't even here yet, and they're already kind of teasing us a little bit on the packaging. So let's take a look inside the packaging and see what we get. So inside we get kind of the usual gubbins. This includes, warranty information and instructions, but admittedly the instructions I guess aren't really needed if you are an avid iPhone or Mac user, purely because, well, it's very, very simple to set up, which I'll talk to you about a little bit later on. Also inside, obviously you get your wireless charging case if you've decided to opt for that model with the AirPods inside, and then you also get a lightning cable for charging the case with. Now, obviously if you have gone down the wireless charging route, there is other ways of doing things, which again, I'll talk to you about a little bit later. Now, before I discuss the AirPods themselves, I want to talk about the charging case. Now, I've actually gone for the wireless edition, which admittedly looks exactly the same as the previous generation. This time though, they are however giving you a free engraving service, so I've gone for eTeknix.com engraved onto mine, which I'm sure you're going to agree with me is the best website in the world. Admittedly, I might be just a little bit biased. Just a little bit. So in terms of the case, well, everything kind of looks the same. The only real difference that you're going to see is the fact that the LED to show, that it's paired and charging has gone from the inside of the case to the outside. And this does sort of, change color depending on sort of what's happening. If it's in pairing mode, if it's connected, if it's low on battery, all that kind of good stuff. In terms of charging it, as I mentioned, it does come with a lightning cable, which you can plug into the bottom of the charging case itself. But as I said, I've gone with the wireless charging model, so I actually have full Qi capabilities. So I can basically put it onto any Qi charger and it will charge. Now, I just wish that there was, I don't know, maybe one from Apple called a Power Mat that was actually, released to the public. To me, it kind of made sense that they should have released that at the same time as this, so I can charge my iPhone, my Apple Watch, and my AirPods all in one kind of, comfortable, easy access kind of place. Now, I've gone for the wireless charging edition, which comes in at a stonking $199 or £199 in the UK. Yes, it's a little bit on the expensive side, but in all honesty, I actually think it is worth it, down to the quality and just everything that you get included. If you don't want to go down the wireless charging kind of route, then you can go for the cheaper model, which just comes with a normal charging case for $159 or £159 in the UK. Now, the problem is if you already own kind of the first generation of AirPods and you want to move up to have that kind of wireless charging capabilities, it's going to cost you, no, not $40 if my maths is any good, it's actually going to cost you $79 or £79. I actually think that's kind of too much. Apple are really sort of, taking note of people who kind of have the first generation but want kind of the benefits of having that wireless charging, and honestly, I think they're actually ripping them off a little bit. Other than that, the actual case hasn't changed. Obviously, there is that kind of movement of the LED, but other than that, the wireless charging case is probably around 2 grams heavier than the kind of conventional charging case, but nothing that you're really going to notice. So now the AirPods themselves. Well, the first generation originally launched back in 2016, so Apple have had a lot of time to kind of, perfect them. And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't actually seem like they've done, well, anything. The actual look of the AirPods looks exactly the same. They don't feel any different, they don't weigh any different, and certainly when they're even in your ears, they definitely don't kind of feel any different there. I mean, I never actually really used the first generation for a long period, but I did sort of manage to try them out here and there. And yes, they sounded good, and these, well, they sound exactly the same. There may be some people out there who kind of exclaim that, they actually sound different. Sorry, but that's a bit of a placebo effect, because even Apple themselves have said the sound quality has remained unchanged. Now, that's kind of disappointing in the fact that they've had 3 years to kind of, revolutionize these kind of AirPods 2. And that's why I actually think these should be really called the AirPods 1.5 or the 1S or some other kind of derivative, because they haven't changed anything until you get to the internals. Now, when you look at the internals, it's all about the H1 chip. Now, the first generation had the W1 chip. The H1 is more about kind of headsets. So they've really focused on kind of what you're able to get from a Bluetooth device like this. So this includes kind of improved efficiency. That's probably the main selling point of it. This means that these pair faster than the first generation. They have 30% lower latency, which is obviously good for things like gaming, answering calls if you're already listening to music. You can switch between devices faster if you're connected to, say, an iPhone and then you want to switch to your Mac, and much, much more. I mean, apparently there is better microphone quality, but I think a lot of this is going to come down to being subjective. There is also improved audio processing, but again, this kind of links into the kind of voice quality and people, I guess, expecting to have better audio quality overall. In terms of the sound improvements, or lack of, I don't think they actually needed to do anything. Yes, it's been 3 years since the first generation came out, but it's one of them kind of, if it's not broke, then don't fix it kind of attitudes, which I'm a firm believer in, because by trying to fix something sometimes, it can actually lead to more problems overall. Now, another thing that this does in terms of at least efficiency means that the talk time is boosted by a whopping 50%. Sadly, that's only from 2 hours to 3 hours, but still that's actually pretty good because you've got to remember that's kind of active talk time, so all the time you're actually using them in your ears. It also has a more stable connection and uses Bluetooth 5.0. Now, another key thing that you have with this is the Hey Siri activation. Instead of kind of double tapping them like you had to do on the first gen, we actually have kind of the always on listening mode. So now you can just say, and I'm not going to say it because I know my phone, my watch, and the AirPods are all going to go a little bit nuts, but you can just say her name, and through that you can make calls, you can adjust the volume, have satellite navigation guidance, you can also switch songs, ask questions, you know, so much more than you could on the previous generation. Now, of course, this can all be disabled through your phone's settings, but that does mean that you're going to kind of forfeit, you know, certain abilities to do things on your phone, your watch, and the AirPods themselves. But yes, it will increase battery life, but probably not by that much. Another key thing with this is the activation process. To activate is actually really simple. You just flip open the case, put it near your phone, and it will automatically kind of find it and ask you to connect. Yes, you do need to make sure that your phone is on the latest version, which I believe is 12.2, or your watch is on the latest version, which is 5.3 if I remember rightly. If they're wrong, we will put them up on the screen anyway. But they've just made things so much simpler to connect, and off you go. Now, battery life on the device themselves is one thing, but yes, you do have the case as well, which does kind of, you know, give you extra battery life. Now, they're actually claiming on this that you can have up to 24 hours of battery life from the case just alone, which, to be honest, that is, again, active kind of use. So through active use, I think that's actually going to last you probably a good week's worth of usage. Perfect if you're like me and you travel around the world and maybe you haven't got access to a Qi charger, or maybe you've forgotten your lightning cable. Either way, it kind of gives you, you know, better scope than what we had with the first generation. Now, the cool thing with the case is it's actually very, very quick at charging the AirPods themselves. You simply put them in like you would with the first generation, but now 15 minutes worth of charging inside this case will actually give you up to 3 hours of listening time, or 2 hours of talk time, which, I mean, in my opinion, that's pretty impressive. So yes, I guess the question is, would I buy the Apple AirPods? Well, I did. I actually bought these myself because, well, Apple don't really need to do any marketing. So I bought these myself, but if I had the first generation, would I buy them? Probably not. Would I buy the wireless charging case? Maybe if it was a little bit cheaper. But if you haven't actually got the first generation of Apple AirPods, then yes, I definitely would buy these. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Until then, hope you enjoyed the video. See you later, guys. Bye-bye. But let's take a look inside and see what's inside that. No, that doesn't make sense. Inside. So let's start by taking a look at let's start because we've already started. And you also get a lightning cable for charging it. You know, more for headphones as opposed to wireless. My voice is going. Admittedly, I might be a little bit biased. Bias?
A little bit bios.
Sorry, it's the computer nerd in me. Right.